topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast, broadcasting live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. This week and every week, we will reach for a higher purpose in money and life, as well as a focus on health and wellness. Now, let's join your host, Benita Bell Anderson, as together we start with Asking Good Questions.
Hey, you're here. I'm so glad you're here. Hey, my name is Benita Bell Anderson, and today we're going to talk about cybersecurity. Can you believe it? We are going to talk about cybersecurity, and I'm going to get you guys ready for anything that's out there with any bad guys that want to come and try to get you. So, got a slide deck for this, so let's get started. Oh, did you know? Every 2 seconds. Can you believe it? That's how often someone deals with identity theft and becomes a victim. Last year, there were over 14 million victims of identity theft and fraud. Can you believe that? It's unbelievable. So the problem is, are you one of those 14 million? Well, you probably are. I have been, I know that. And the statistics say most likely the past few years have given us record-breaking breaches. You see only a few of the big ones listed here. LinkedIn exposed data of over 700 million people. Facebook, 530 million, but Yahoo was the biggie with 3 billion accounts compromised. So these are only some of the breaches that have occurred in the last few years. Given those statistics, it's likely that your personal information has landed in the hands of a hacker. So in addition, new threats are exposed every day. Even as we sit here now, a vast array of cyber attacks are pounding at the walls of security networks built to protect you and your digital persona on the internet. So, and what I'm going to say next sounds a bit dramatic, but it's completely true. There is a world of dark forces and criminal networks that conspire day and night to steal your username and your password, obtain your social security number, open credit cards in your name, drain your bank accounts, and seize your computer to hold it for ransom. Can you believe it? So here's the challenge. This is from a book called Cybersecurity and Cyber War. And the authors of this book basically contend that a cyber world war is underway, and we're all involved, even though we may not know it. Our biggest problem, they say, is that we face a cybersecurity knowledge gap. Yep, that's why I'm here today. I'm worried for all of us, myself, my family, my clients, and the community. It's a serious growing problem, but I don't think it's a reason for despair. Most people don't realize how vulnerable they are and what they can do to maximize their security. We're going to change that today. By the end of the podcast today, I guarantee you will leave better prepared to protect yourself, your family, and your business from the quietly raging cyber wars that are targeting us all. All right? So I always say, start with asking good questions. So today I'm here to help you discover the right things to do to create a personal cybersecurity system that will keep you and your family safe. And first, you're going to take a short exam. Now, I recognize this is an exam that you can download. You'll see the link going across the bottom. Go to the download link at askgoodquestionspodcast.com, and you can download a copy of this. So I'm going to be referring to this, and this is where you're going to take a look and check on yourself and what you can do. So at the end of the podcast, and I'm going to ask you to fill out the action pledge, which is on the back. There's 2 pages to this thing. So there's an action pledge where you can say, okay, these are the things I'm going to do. This is a really, really useful checklist of things that you can do to help increase your preparedness. All right. You'll take 3 actions, and you'll, make a plan for yourself of how you can take care of it. So I really appreciate you. I really thank you and appreciate you being here with me today. I am a financial advisor. I'm a coach. I'm an author. Just had another book come out regarding financial issues for divorcees and widows, but that's not the topic of today. But though that group definitely has issues, right? All of us do. So we have a lot to cover. So we're going to jump in. All right. So if you're not able to do this now, then that's okay. You can just listen to this and then go and get that. But if you can, take the cybersecurity quiz while we're going through and doing this, and you're going to mark yes or no for each question. So if you're not able to download this now, let me tell you what those questions are. So number 1 question is, I have one email address that I use exclusively for my online financial accounts. Banking, credit cards, payment services, brokerage, etc., and nothing else. Yes or no? I have 2-step verification, or two-factor authentication is sometimes what it's called, turned on for my email and online financial security. Yes or no? I can spot the difference between dangerous free public Wi-Fi and useful, secure, free public Wi-Fi. Yes or no? I understand how to tell if my home Wi-Fi network is vulnerable to hackers, and how to boost the network security. Yes or no? Whenever any money leaves my bank account or my credit card is charged, I'm alerted to the transaction. Yes or no? I have complete control over my credit files at the big 3 bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, because I have placed them on the highest security level. Yes or no? I have confirmed with the credit bureaus that my minor children have not been victims of identity theft and frozen their credit files. Yes or no? I run an updated antivirus software program on my computers and devices. Yes or no? I always make sure that my computer and devices have the most up-to-date software programs, including operating systems, browsers, Microsoft Office, iTunes Player, virus protection, wireless router, and Adobe programs. Yes or no? I have a system for ensuring that I can recover from a ransomware phishing attack without paying an extortion fee to a criminal. Yes or no? Now, give yourself 5 points for every question answered with a yes. Add those points to get your score, and then consult Section B to get your cybersecurity rating. So if you got 40 to 50, that's really great. If you got 35 to 25, that's okay. And if you got 0 to 20, then you're in danger. So that little rating thing is down at the bottom. So this is kind of just the beginning, is awareness, right? Is making sure that you're aware. So let's learn the new cybersecurity rules. All right. So there's 3 rules. I'm going to get to there's 3 rules that we're going to deal with. And I believe you can develop those mindsets to strengthen and maintain your cybersecurity so that staying safe is a simple thing for you. These 3 mindsets cover various parts of your life, right? And overlap to form a sweet spot of actions that will boost your cybersecurity score. Each mindset alone provides greater security, but if you combine all 3 of them, that really will help make you more secure. The mindsets are secrecy, omniscience, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, and mindfulness, right? Okay, if you're wondering what that word means, I am going to talk about it. So it can take, each of those areas combines a set of actions for people to take called the new cybersecurity rules. And I'm going to explain all 3 mindsets and the associated rules. And so let's take a look at the first one, which my key idea 1 is adopting a new level of secrecy. All right, we're going to be secret. Can boost your security and your cyber confidence. We all need more security and secrecy in our life when it comes to this. And this mindset of adopting a new level of secrecy is really all about keeping your personal and private data safe. With all the massive amounts of data breaches that is suffered by corporations and governments, we need to act as if our personal data already exists in the hands of cyber criminals, which it probably does. We all need to draw a tighter ring of security around our personal data. And that starts with your email. Were you expecting that? So our email address is the key to our digital lives. I'm going to tell you a story about that. We share it with countless businesses, organizations, and people. If you use the internet for any amount of time, you've entered your email address at a host of online accounts for shopping, travel, exercise, gaming, dating, who knows what else. We don't think twice. But having your email address in so many databases puts you at a significant risk. Hackers routinely breach the security networks of many organizations that hold your primary email address. And that stolen personal data paired with poor email security can lead to disaster. Here's what Robert Siciliano, who's the CEO of IdentityTheftSecurity.com, and he's a security writer, he says, "It has been said that if you own a person's email, you own the person. That means that once your email is hacked, pretty much your entire digital life is up for grabs. So even if you've done your due diligence to have all your passwords be different, if your email is hacked and it's associated with your other online accounts like bank accounts, the hacker could simply use a reset password and get access to all your other accounts." Remember how at the very beginning I talked about having in the quiz, there was the very first thing was, do you have a separate email just for your online bank and financial accounts? So here's a story for you about this. This is of a professor and a software security expert who bet a friend of his that he could hack into her bank account. With her permission, he began. He first simply Googled her name and stumbled upon her blog and an old resume. From the blog, he got her personal email address and her old college email address from her resume. Now he was on his way. So he was able to use the forgot my password feature on her college email account to get in using the personal information listed on her resume. Once he reset that password, he was able to reset her current email address, having the link sent to her college email. Once he was in her personal email, he could reset her online banking password. Now, you may not care if someone hacks your Food Network or your Yelp account or anything else. It doesn't really matter, but you certainly don't want your online banking exposed in the same way. So that's why you need to create a separate secret email for your financial accounts. That email address should be unidentifiable. Don't use your name. Don't use your first name, your last name, your initials, or other identifying information. It should also be protected by a strong and unique password. So a separate email address reduces your digital footprint. And if your primary non-financial email address is exposed in a hack, it's not connected to your financial accounts, okay? So this is a key step in boosting your security. That's a biggie. That is really a biggie. So we're going to talk about beating the password paradox. So we're talking about good, strong passwords, right? So here's some ideas on how to do that. We have a hard time remembering all the passwords that are out there, right? So how long does it take for a computer to crack 1,000 weak passwords? 17 minutes. One reason for this is that people choose passwords that have less than 6 characters, or they use names, dictionary words, or other common passwords like password or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here's another story for you. So this is a creative director that took the password paradox head on. Following his divorce, he wanted to focus on the positive aspects of his life. And instead of being annoyed when he had to change his password every 30 days for work, he decided to make a challenge for himself. So every 30 days, he would choose a new goal and turn that into his password. For example, his first password was forgive at H3R, which basically meant forgive her, and was directed to his ex-wife. But after 30 days, he changed his password to quit smoking forever. And he did. And he found a way to take the ordinary password and improve his life. So there's other ways to think about passwords as well. So, oops, I don't want to go there quite yet. You could create what's called a mnemonic. So a mnemonic is going to be a phrase with numbers or symbols. Like one example is a woman that I know that took the first line of her prayer she says every day and uses the first letter of each of the first 10 words of the prayer, right? So that's one way to think about it. She adds some numbers and symbols and it creates a very strong password. Or you could use a poem or a song lyrics or a phrase. So you see an example here with that. Or you could try this. You create a password like what I was just talking about in that story that embodies a goal that you're trying to reach, such as exercising, quitting smoking, saving money, something like that. This is especially good when you need to change your password every 6 months. And each time you type your password, instead of it being a negative drag on your brain, it's something that's like reinforcing you. You're thinking about it in just a tiny little way. So you can get as creative as you like. By the way, on the back of your reference guide, which is also your test that you're going to download, over here on this side of it, there is information about a password letter to symbol conversion chart. So up here in this corner, you're going to find that will help you with creating some unique passwords. And there's something fun that's out there too. There's another technique called diceware. Here you roll a dice 5 times and record each number. You repeat that process 4 more times, so you have 5 5-digit numbers. Then you go to www.diceware.com and match your 5-digit numbers to a list of 7,776 words. You can also just go on the Diceware website and do that digitally and roll dice digitally. So those random 5 words become a password. So that's kind of fun to do. You may be thinking, how am I ever going to remember any of that? Well, the last thing you see here on the screen is using some kind of password manager. There's a bunch of them out there now. NordPass, RoboForm, 1Password. There's several out there for you to take a look at. So choose the one that works best for you, right? Okay. So we're moving on to the rule of enabling 2-step verification. Creating those strong passwords is just the first step. We need to put another layer of security in there. And so that is a relatively new trend in online security called 2-step verification or 2-factor authentication. And so when you start to log in, and I'm sure you've seen this, you send a short-lived one-time passcode. I see this all the time with everything that I do. And so you have to put that in. That verifies who you are. And that will come up and be something that you can just expect to have happen. It stops your accounts from being hacked because it requires 2 separate things. Something you know, your password, and something you have, that temporary code. So even if a hacker has your password, he won't gain access because you have that passcode on your cell phone, and that's the only place where it is. So if you get a code and you're not trying to log into something, then you know something is up. And at that point, you need to go change your password and do something about it. You don't have to worry about entering a code every time you log into your account, because a lot of times there'll be a little box that says, trust this device or something like that. So that is always a good way to, I think it's a critical thing that you need to do every day. Okay, Wi-Fi. Do you ever go to Starbucks and want to log into their free Wi-Fi? Well, it's great to have free internet access, but it can be very costly if there's a hacker in the neighborhood. So absolutely avoid making financial transactions when you're out at some free Wi-Fi spot. What I do, and what a lot of people who are really thinking about this do, is use your mobile hotspot. When I'm at an airport waiting for an airplane, I use my mobile hotspot to log in to, if I need to do some work on my laptop, right? And so if you need connectivity regularly, you might be thinking about a VPN, which is a virtual private network. And that is a good option to think about as well. But probably for most people, if you just use your mobile hotspot on your smartphone, then that's probably going to be okay. All right, this next rule is going to be something that maybe you want to get your 13-year-old grandson, or maybe get the neighbor kid or whatever, because some of this might be a little techie. But you know what you could also do? Like, you could go, whoever provides your internet access in your town, maybe you could go into your office and have them help you encrypt your wireless router. There are some technical actions that a lot of people may not want to take. And so go get help. Contact somebody that's techie, or a family member that can help, or take your router into the office of whoever provides your internet access and get some help in some way. What you're going to want to do is change the default username and password. Hackers know these and will use them to try to break into your network. So you're going to pick a strong password, okay? You already know how to do that. You're going to encrypt your router. There's different things that are called WPA2 or WPA3. If you see something called WEP, that's no longer considered secure, and you might want to update your router. And then there's another thing called Wi-Fi protected setup, that needs to be disabled. So all these things can lead strangers to being able to access your router. So please look at how you can make your own home router more secure. All right. So the majority, see, the interesting thing about this is that the majority of routers can come with outdated software. So it'll leave your network vulnerable to attacks. So it sounds like a daunting task, but it's not that bad. And follow the instructions in your user manual, or get that help that we talked about getting. So here's another key ID. Completing certain actions can help you achieve financial cyber omniscience. I'm going to call it omniscience. It's the state of knowing everything. So everything in our case now is anything having to do with your personal information. Okay? Because it's going to help you keep fraud away from your door. So we're going to talk about instant text or email alerts. When you're thinking about all-knowingness for your own personal information, you want to be the only one that knows everything about your information. Now, being a financial advisor, I can tell you that where this gets to be a problem is if you pass away and nobody knows what your passwords are or anything. So I can just tell you from my own personal life, with my will and everything, I have an instruction sheet for my daughter, who's my executor of my estate. She has a list of all those important things. So that's a little tip I'm just adding in. Here's a story regarding getting things set up correctly for yourself. How would you feel to discover that hackers had plundered your debit card for nearly $1,000 on Christmas Eve? Huh. Well, that's exactly what happened to one lady. It all started about a month earlier on Black Friday. Like many people, she had shopped at her local Target and nabbed a few money-saving Christmas deals. Everything seemed fine. Then about a week before Christmas, news broke of the Target data breach. And she, like many, hoped that it didn't involve her. But a few days before Christmas, her bank told her she had overdrawn her account by $100. She quickly learned that someone else had used her debit card 4 times, charging nearly $1,000, and her card was now useless. And the bank told her it would be weeks before she could get a new one. Well, she felt like her Christmas was ruined, and she had to borrow money to pay for her holiday dinner and January's rent. And if only she had been alerted about the fraudulent charges earlier. Well, it's not hopeless, and you just need to protect your credit cards and your bank account from the swarm of hackers and data breaches. So sign up for alert notification with your bank and credit card companies. By doing that, you'll get a text or an email alert every time a charge or a withdrawal is made. So the banks know instantly when charges are made to our accounts. So you should know that too. So signing up for instant alerts will bring you closer to achieving that all-knowingness in where you're the only one that knows, right? Okay. Now, this one you may not have thought about. This is absolutely critical to everyone's cybersecurity. By default, your credit files are open with the big 3 credit bureaus like Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. So it's a good idea to go through the process of creating the highest security level on those accounts. and it locks your credit file with a PIN at each of those credit bureaus, and no new credit can be issued in your name if those things are in place. And basically, when you do want to open a new credit card, you have to go in and remove that. But it'll keep you safe and keep anybody from opening an account in your name. And it keeps you in control. It's way more secure than credit monitoring or fraud alert, because those things tell you after the fact that something has happened. But what's interesting about this is it's not just yours information. It could be your kids as well, especially maybe your teenagers who are not thinking about being safe. There are 500,000 children who suffer from identity theft every year. Can you believe that? So their clean records are attractive because there's nothing on them. And so childhood identity theft can lead to major problems down the road for an unsuspecting teenager who's coming of age. So here's what you can do. Parents can send a letter including copies of their children's birth certificate and driver's license and proof of address. You can first talk to the credit bureaus to see how to do this correctly. And if no report is found, then you're in luck. You should still periodically check on your child's status. And if a report is found, it's usually a sign your child has been victimized. Ask the credit bureaus to immediately place a credit freeze on your child's record and investigate further, right? So you might not even think about this, but you can now request a credit freeze for your child in every single state. Previously, it was dependent on your state of residence, but now it's a federal law. So just remember that it may be something that you may be surprised that you've never thought about before. Mindfulness. Are you thinking, what's mindfulness got to do with identity theft? Well, we need to be in a state of relaxed alertness when dealing with cybersecurity. Fighter pilots actually have an acronym for this state called OODA. Stands for observation, orientation, decision, and action. And then, of course, Zen masters use the phrase mindfulness. When Google, amazingly, completed their own analysis of worldwide cybersecurity practices, they also recommended mindfulness as a key part of cybersecurity. So basically, this deals with your own day-to-day mindfulness of how you go about things. So let's look at one rule here about your software. 9 out of 10 security experts say that running updated software is necessary for strong security. So out-of-date software is where hackers can plant viruses and all kinds of crazy things. So there's a big chance that people will not update their software if they're not paying attention. So 75 to 80% of computer hacks are related to outdated software. So they exploit holes in unpatched software, which allows them to install malware. So if you want to make sure that all your software and programs are all on your devices are up to date, then make sure that's on automatic. And that's also called an auto update, but just make sure that those programs are installed on your devices and that it automatically checks to make sure that it's up to date. Periodically go through your programs and uninstall anything that you don't need. I've gone through that and gone, what's that? I don't even know what that is. And that'll help you with making sure that you are up to date on everything that you have in your possession on your devices. So backing up files is another big rule that is important. So you're going to want to back up, obviously, you're going to want to back up your files on your existing desktop or laptop, but you also want to update it maybe to the cloud. You want to update it to an external device, and that all of those things are going to make it so that you also know that if anything happens, you have a copy so that you're not going to be subject to somebody threatening you if you don't pay them X amount of dollars, right? Okay, I got another story coming up for you. This is the 10-second email rule, okay? This has to do with ransomware. Now, this is a story about, if you can believe it, straight out of the White House. The wife of John P. Holdren, who's the assistant to former President Obama and former director of the White House Office of Science and Technology, received an email. This is the wife of John. She received an email which she believed was from her husband. And it said, it asked for the password to their Xfinity phone and internet account. Now, the very first thing that she should have done is called her husband, right? Mrs. Holdren did not do that, though. She sent the password and went about her day. But she hadn't sent the password to her husband. Rather, she had sent it to a political hacking group who, with the password, redirected all of the Holdren's phone calls to the Free Palestine Movement line. The Holdrens joined a long list of victims, including CIA Director John Brennan and Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. So had she known the 10-second email rule I'm about to teach you, she may never have fallen. Well, like I said, she should have called her husband first. So this is an acronym. It stands for examine, message, and inspect links, right? So let's take it one step at a time. The first half of the acronym is examine the message. Phishers try to get at us from, all different ways. But, there's warnings that they'll send, like warning, account closed, security alert, things like that. So we need to discover the true sender of the email. And phishers can spoof the from line to appear to be a legitimate business. So you can determine the true sender by hovering your mouse over the display name. And a small box is going to appear with the true email address. Other suspicious things to look for is like customer or sir or madam instead of your name, or poor grammar or a vague signature line with false contact information. So you should also be suspicious of unsolicited emails with attachments. Don't ever click on an attachment. If you get something that looks like it's from your bank, you call the bank to see if there's a problem. What presents itself as a resume or a receipt or a payment could be an exe file that plants a virus on your computer. All right? So you're going to inspect the link. And so you're going to hover like the little picture shows you there. You're going to hover over it. So here's another story about this. I think stories illustrate things better than anything. Now, this is a British journalist who was less than an hour away from a really important deadline. And so she was doing multiple things, and she spotted an email from Yahoo, and it told her to confirm her account details immediately or her account would be shut down. Anytime you see something like that, it's like, really? So under pressure, and she was needing important information, she clicked on the link and filled in personal information. She should never have done that. Immediately, her screen went blank. And she had been phished. So the phishers then attacked their new targets, which was all of her email contacts. And there were more than 1,000 people in her email address book who received an email that said she was robbed at a hotel in Spain and needed money. She was locked out of her computer and was forced to close her banking accounts. And if she had waited 10 minutes and examined the Yahoo message more closely, she could have prevented the attack and saved herself all of that stress and embarrassment and lost time. So the second half of the email requires you to inspect the link within the message. Like you did with the sender, hover your mouse over any link or hyperlinked text and be sure that the link is truly directing you to the correct website. Again, anytime I've gotten that, what I do is if it's from my bank, I call them and say, is this something that's an issue? But if it looks fishy, it probably is. So this is an action that needs to become part. This is this whole mindfulness thing of being aware, looking at what these things can do, and being smart about how you address it. Okay? So take action. We are coming close to the end, and so in case you have not been able to download this, this is on this, what's up on the screen is this area right here, which has a place for you to put what are the 3 big things I'm going to do. Are you going to create a new email that's just for your bank accounts and stuff like that? Are you going to take a look at your router at home? Are you going to call the credit bureaus and freeze your accounts? What are you going to do? All right. Complete your action plan now. So, because I know that if I don't do something like this, then a lot of times I get busy with other things and I'm off on other projects. So another resource for you is also on the back of the second page of this. So you see the picture of the book. This is a book that is all about a lot of these issues that we talked about today. And there's a website there where you can go and order that. And it's called Hack Proof Your Life Now, the New Cybersecurity Rules, and it's available on Amazon. And like I said, you'll find the link there for that book, so you can go and check that out. You'll also see that if you have questions regarding any of these items covered today or about financial issues, I mean, what I do is I work with clients on financial issues. I do offer a 30-minute one-on-one Zoom call. Now, all of these things, like what has been scrolling across the bottom of the screen, is the website that's associated with this podcast called AskGoodQuestionsPodcast.com. You'll find more information about that on the website. Okay. So thank you so much for coming. I know that you now have more information than you did before to create your own personal cybersecurity plan. I hope you found this podcast to be helpful and informative in terms of your thinking and commitment to cybersecurity. So it's totally doable to be safer and more alert on the internet. So see you next time. And always remember to ask good questions.
Today's episode is over, but we did ask good questions again, didn't we? Don't miss out as we broadcast live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. Join Benita Bell Anderson next week for more conversations with experts on finances, retirement, behavioral finance issues, health and wellness, and more. Until then, remember to ask good questions.